Ian Rappaport, another tight end has received the tag. Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz.
Oh, my God!
Is being tagged. According to him, they are keeping another playmaker in the fold coming off his best season. Schultz now is locked in for 2022 with a long-term deal, the hope in the future.
Damn it. Well, Choppy said he was going to leave. He was going to quit his job. He was going to leave today. I think he was bluffing, but
why?
Now's the time.
I want to burst into tears.
I'm not going to leave. I'm all talk, no action. All hat, no cattle.
Yeah. Well, it's
this is just taking over. Let's just dissect this. I don't feel good. I feel like we are rooting for an organization that is an epic failure right now. They don't know what the bleep they're doing. I just don't understand. And it's not a shot at Dalton Schultz. He was productive. He had a good year. But what are you doing paying $11 million a year for an average tight end? There's nothing anyone can point to other than, he's got a rapport with Dak Prescott. Well, so did Blake Jarwin, right? And then now he's hurt. He can't play. You signed Blake Jarwin initially to be your starting tight end. How'd that work out? And now Dalton Schultz has one good year. Let's go ahead and pay him like he's a top-tier tight end in all of the NFL. And as Bobby Belt noted, this should just be a placeholder, hopefully, so the Cowboys can get a long-term deal done, and the Cowboys can spread this out over the next few years, but it just does not make sense. Let's move on from Amari Cooper, who is a team that defenses clearly have to game plan for and that defenses are concerned about. I don't know that there's any that feel that way about Dalton Schultz. I just think there's a massive gap between the elite tight ends in the NFL, the Kelceys, the Andrews, the Wallers, Kittles, and what they're able to do, how they can dictate the game, and then what Dalton Schultz is bringing you to the table.
There's a huge gap between elite and good. And the problem with this move is that, yes, the difference between elite and good is big. But in that second tier, the difference between good, the high end of good and the low end is very, very small. And this is one of those positions where if you have an elite player at that position, you're gold. If you have a terrible player at that position, you're screwed. Anywhere in the middle, you're fine. You're fine. It's like kickers, right? The only kickers that really matter are the really, really great ones or the really, really bad ones. Everybody else about 85%. They're all in that little give or take 3-4% range.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Unless you have Travis Kelce or Kittle or Gronk in his prime, like, it doesn't matter. Just sign anybody for $4 million and let's go.
And it's a good tight end draft.
Yeah, it is. Like,
and free agent class.
Like O.J. Howard or, just pick Robert Tonyan. I mean, pick a tight end. You're going to pay them half of what you just paid Dalton Schultz, and they're going to give you more than half the production. Per dollar, that your value is much better by going cheaper.
Yeah,
unless you're getting, again, Travis Kelce.
They're just making another move here where let's overpay for solid player, but in hindsight, and for a team that's complaining about the salary cap, it just does not make sense to me. You're already overpaying your running back in Ezekiel Elliott, and that's the thing that's really got their hands tied behind their back is the Zeke contract. They said they were overpaying for Amari Cooper. Now they want to do it with their tight end Dalton Schultz. And a lot of the texts that are coming in, I mean, we've got Pat from Plano is one of the biggest Dalton Schultz supporters, and I love you, Pat. You're from my neck of the woods. But
it's probably Dalton Schultz himself.
Schultz is getting paid 75% of those guys. It's not on par with him. No, when you get tagged, you're paid the average of the top 5 salaries of the position. Darren Waller might not be there yet because he's still probably waiting on a new deal. But the guys that have all cashed in lately are Travis Kelce, are Mark Andrews, are George Kittle. So yes, I mean
Goddard.
When you're looking at paying a tight end, that's what you're looking at right now. And Dalton Schultz, solid player, but in my opinion, just not worth that kind of money. That's why the other tight ends we've mentioned, they're looking at maybe getting $6 to $8 million a year on the open market. For whatever reason, Dalton Schultz, his worth has ballooned. But let the Jets overpay for him. don't you lock yourselves in as an organization again to another bad contract.
Yep.
It just feels like this team doesn't learn. They make the same mistakes over and over and over again.
So basically, the Cowboys are going to pay, what, $20, $21, $22 million for Dalton Schultz and Michael Gallup. And you're going to lose Amari Cooper and possibly DeMarcus Lawrence.
That's right.
They're going to pay maybe closer to 24, 25 for those two guys. If Schultz getting 11, Gallup might get 14.
Who knows what the what it ends up being if they get a long-term deal done.
Yeah, but here's the salaries, the tight end contracts. Kittle at 15, Kelsey at 14.3, Goddard at 14.2, Andrews at 14, Jonnu Smith at 12.5, along with Hunter Henry. And then you got Njoku and Gesicki at 10, and Schultz at so he's going to make the same as obviously Njoku and Gesicki. Is he on the level of those guys? No, he's not. Now, some of those guys don't, like Jonnu Smith doesn't deserve that money either.
No, I wouldn't say Hunter Henry does either.
And I don't think Hunter Henry does either. The Patriots, I think, screwed themselves last year with those contracts.
And everybody else that's trying to pay a tight end, because now it kind of resets the market there. It is definitely a big time bummer, because I view Dalton Schultz in the same breath as a Logan Thomas, a Tyler Higbee, a Nick Boyle, a Cameron Brate, something like that. And those guys, none of those guys are getting anywhere close to $10 million a year. And so
especially an offense that they count on their tight end to be contributors in the run game. And Dalton Schultz is a massive liability. He needs to come off the field, to be honest with you, if you want to run the football. He cannot block to save his life. It's a massive issue. Unless for whatever reason he's able to correct this. I mean, I don't know that he's even an every down player, in my opinion. A big reason why you struggled in the run game was because of how bad Dalton Schultz was in that. You can look at a lot of the plays that get blown up in the backfield. If you go back and watch the All-22, it oftentimes was the guy that Dalton Schultz was responsible to block. So, I mean, you're looking at a player who I just think is limited in his skill set and what he brings to the table. Yes, he's a safety valve for Dak, and we're getting some texts that come in that are like, it's simple. You got to pay for the safety net for the quarterback and the tight end. I just think there are other options you could go for that will give you that same production. We were worried about what are they doing at tight end when Jason Witten retired, and then all of a sudden here came undrafted rookie free agent Blake Jarwin. Here came mid-round pick Dalton Schultz. You can go ahead for mid-round value, find another guy that can come in and give you that same type of production. And the issue is that the Cowboys are going to be pushing the ball down the field anyway. You don't want to enable Dak like that.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man, because you're paying a guy some pretty big money at a time where you don't really have any salary cap space. And at the moment, we'll see if they get a long-term deal done with him at some point between now and July. But he's going to be eating up $11 million of your cap space that you need right now to continue to stock up your roster as free agency is about to get rolling. But he doesn't really bring anything. He doesn't bring anything special. It's just back to the age-old thing of you're going to pay good money to the average player. You're going to pay great money for the good player. And so that's a fundamental team building technique of just like, you don't do that. You don't do that, especially for a position that like they don't understand positional value either, because like they don't mind letting other positions walk out the door, corners. Like they're gonna let a pass rusher get out of here. Your number one wide out, but we got to make sure we keep this tight end, and it's a huge bummer.
Again, tight ends have good positional value if when they're elite, when there's a massive difference between you and everybody else in the league, you have a competitive advantage. But when it's just Dalton Schultz, and look, he's a good player. No one's saying he's not. But you don't need to pay a tight end $11 million or whatever they're going to sign him to, when you can get somebody who's like 85% of him on the open market for half the cost.
So once again, the Cowboys laying out that franchise tag for Dalton Schultz right now, and the cost is $10.93 million with the chance to sign a long-term deal.
Yeah, can't block, doesn't get yak, doesn't really have speed. He's not stretching the field. And
he's a fine player. It's just the argument here is it worth paying a guy top 5 money for what you're going to when you could replace him for far less? And the answer is no. I mean, you got to pick and choose guys that you're going to keep, and are they worth that salary? They've already said, hey, we want to keep Michael Gallup. I like Gallup. I also wonder, are they going to overpay him as well? But the decision-making so far, a bit head-scratching. No doubt about it. Some of the reaction on the truckwreck.com text line, 214, the Gallup deal will be a bad deal as well. Just draft a receiver. 972, the sunk cost from Jarwin makes the Dalton franchise tag, I guess, easier for them. They wouldn't get rid of both, but getting Dalton for another year allows them to release Jarwin. 903, such hilarity hearing y'all say Cowboys don't understand, yet you want them to re-sign all the old losers. Who are the old losers? Amari Cooper's 27 in the prime of his career.
Yeah, Gallup's a kid. Who are the old
Tank
losers?
And Randy Gregory, there's 7 months difference in age gap here. I don't really understand who are the old losers. 682, again, maybe the difference between elite tight ends and Schultz is the quarterback's inability to put the ball in a place where he can catch and run.
Well, look, that is a large part of what makes wide receivers great is a quarterback that can throw them the ball where they need to catch it and run. But Schultz is not. I mean, he's not on a level of Kelsey or Kittle. That doesn't mean he's not good. And Dak uses the tight ends very well. He used the tight end position very, very well. But it is a safety net for him, and that's sometimes a bad thing. You want to throw downfield more, not underneath.